Welcome to the World's Worst Podcast. I'm Devin. This is Ben.
Yeah.
And we got a short but good show. We have frustrating pens on the ballot, traffic lights, wrist in pain, and Tumblr spoils. So, yeah, I hope you guys enjoy, and we will be covering next week episode
5 and 6
5 and 6. So,
of Twin Peaks. Yeah.
Of Twin Peaks. 5 is entitled One Armed Man, and I did not the title of the second episode, which is entirely my fault.
It's fine. That's for next week anyway.
Yeah, realization time. Alright, enjoy the show and have a great day.
I guess it's like trails and blazes with the map of getting lost, sticking labels or lists on. Fake ladies and males get their shit on, made up and murdered like women gliding with their wings gone. You bet it's like crazed behavior, getting weighed and measured and mixing statements with their spin gone. I'm running waste blades or razors, getting played like when rappers do better without their bling on. You witness a small take, the bait, let a break, face fail, fake kissing and kicks run. My power is I take time, shape rhymes, wait while you get your Radisty tune and clicks on. Come on, I've got a day to discover you slaves, getting paid, getting richer on days off. Flames came, played, heat up the covers, I made you wish you had your water gun, saying was this fun? Trace it till you make it wait or fix your plan. Bad haters, some fakers and trading things that wanna click your spam. Steady claims, make great inspiration and deal it, take it, say you want it, cut your teeth on it, reeling upon it.
We just heard Blue Ducks of their album Heavy Hair and 4 inches of water as a track, rather. Okay, so, yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. Did you? Okay, so last week I know we were talking about the problems you were having with your fancy new looking pen.
Oh, yeah, the Monteverde one.
Yeah. Did you have any luck with that?
Yeah, I cleaned it out completely, and then refilled it with the Diamine Midnight, which is like the wettest ink I have,
Mm-hmm.
and it functions as a pen now.
Excellent.
It's not great.
Uh,
The $4 pen writes more consistently.
yeah.
There's an issue, basically the feed, which is the thing at the bottom of the pen,
Mm-hmm.
doesn't keep up with the ink that it's putting out. And so maybe, like a fine tip would be better. But as it stands in a medium, which I'm using now, it's
Mhm.
just not, it's not great. It skips a lot.
And you mean that's on the more expensive pen?
Yeah, this is the
Okay. So if you
Regatta Sport.
So possibly then, if you got a finer tip, it might work better.
Yeah, it might.
Mm.
I saw a demo of it, or a review of it from on YouTube
Mm-hmm.
that I'd missed prior to buying the pen. And he was using a bold nib, which is like twice as wide
Mm-hmm.
as the medium. And he was talking about how it starts to run out of ink after maybe 5 lines.
Wow.
And like sometimes he would have to push out ink. He'd unscrew the pen and go with the converter and twist on the converter to get to just wet the feed again. But that's on a bold, mind you. Which is, like I said, is twice the size. But this, yeah. So I haven't had to go through that kind of
Right.
lengths. But maybe after 5, even in the first, it starts up slow, and even when it's going, after maybe a line, I start to see skipping.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I would not buy this pen in anything but a fine, and I don't know if I want to even try to put out that $25 plus shipping for the fine nib.
Right. Yeah. You
Um,
can focus on other things first.
yeah, for a while now, I think I mean, it's working, and I'm using it somewhat.
Mm-hmm.
So until I clean it out, I mean, I might clean it out and just not use it for a while until I find a wetter ink,
Mm.
or I don't know what I'm gonna do. But that's disappointing to say the least.
But at least there's some positive signs that it might still be useful, just, a bit further
Yeah.
down the line.
It's better than being left with a paperweight.
Yeah, that's true.
So, an expensive paperweight.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, my other pens are working great.
Awesome.
So, yeah, I wrote a bunch of letters this week and sent them out.
Should I be checking my mailbox anytime
Yes.
soon? Okay.
Yes, I sent them out either yesterday or the day before yesterday.
Okay.
I got one more to send out, or to finish and send out, and that's about it.
Cool. I eagerly await that. So, how was the rest of your week?
Uneventful. I started to journal again, and I used that web notebook, and that's incredibly nerve-wracking. Like, it's the intimidation of the blank page.
Right.
When I took an art class in college, the professor had us on the very first day, like, this is a drawing class.
Mhm.
So, just take the first page out of our like pads and crumple it up, step on it, write on it, erase that, muss it up, get it dirty,
Yeah.
and then to like start doing our first drawings, because sometimes just that blankness is too intimidating
Mm-hmm.
that any creativity just leaves you, and I totally understand that.
Yeah. Yeah. That's absolutely something that I struggle with, even when it's like for me, I encounter it most often when I have to write something, like, I'm writing a paper or something like that, where it's like I open up the Word document and just that, blinking cursor there. Oh, like where to start, what to do. So I have to just start writing, and then it comes through a lot better at that point. And and the experience I've had doing, when I took an art class in college, of just like you just have that piece of paper, and it's like, oh shit, what the fuck am I gonna do with this? And then you just gotta do something, just move your hand across with a pen or a marker, or your brush or whatever, and just make something happen, and then deal with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
You gotta get into the flow of it, and then it goes a lot better. So I have a question for you too. Are the leaves leaving the trees where you are as much as they are here?
Yeah. Fucking winter, man. Winter's coming, and that very concept depresses me.
Yeah.
I hate winter so much. I hate it. I'm in the wrong place, but I can't stand winter at all.
I mean, I think my favorite time of the year is that early fall, middle spring, where it's like not too hot, like you still have reason to wear warm clothes every once in a while, or like if you're going to be outside for a while, but at the same time, like if you're up and moving, you can keep as warm as you need to. And I don't know, I think there's always a little something for me about the fall that feels I mean, maybe it is just like the rhythm of school, where it's like, new beginnings in the fall, and I'm still not removed from that, completely, and even more now a part of it, that there's just that certain something I perceive being in the air of, new exciting adventures or some bullshit about education. But,
No, I can totally get what you're saying. I like fall. I do. But like when it starts to get cool and like I can't do the same things, like I'm not as comfortable in my house.
Yeah.
For example, I don't like it. I would rather increase the length of fall. I would rather cut up winter, like actual winter, into 3.
Mm-hmm.
Just add in that time into the other 3 seasons.
Yeah.
And then I'd be fine with it. Like,
yeah.
because in Minnesota, like even at the end of winter or by October, 31st, we'll see the first snow at least.
Possibly.
Probably
yeah.
won't. It probably won't stay, but we'll see one.
Yeah.
At least on average. So like, that's about as cold as I can handle it. Not handle it, but as cold as I can comfortably.
As cold as you'd prefer it.
Yeah.
Perhaps. Yeah.
That's as cold as it can get without me bitching every 5 seconds in my brain when I'm outside.
Right. Yeah. I remember one year, I think it was like the first year, maybe the second year that I was involved with the radio station at our undergrad university, and I was there late one night, and January, maybe it was February, and very much the heart of winter, and I was walking back the 2 blocks, 3 blocks maybe to my dorm from the building where the radio station was, and just it was so fucking cold. Like I was singing to myself a very curse-filled rendition of Frosty the Snowman, like where I pretty much replaced all the words with curses about how cold it was.
That's great. That's absolutely
great. It helped. It helped in its own little way. Yeah. I'll be curious to see what it's like here in the winter, because the people that I've met here who are like, "Oh, you're from Minnesota. I wonder what you're going to think of winters here." And it's like, it's probably the same, But yep. I guess we'll see. Okay, if I needed to tell you this story, and I don't want to forget since it just came into my head. So I've had a weird experience over the last couple of weeks talking with people about a particular feature of intersections here, which I presume is not entirely unique to this area, but primarily the stoplights at intersections are just suspended on wires over the intersections instead of being on poles. Yeah. Whereas, in Minnesota, it's 90%, right, are
easily
on poles. And it's actually it's a little annoying because whatever, I suppose it's cheaper or something, and it seems to work fine, but the problem is that because of the way they have them strung up, if you pull your car up to the stop line like you're supposed to at an intersection, you have to be craning forward, like leaning forward, like hugging the wheel to actually really be able to see the light. It's supposed to be for your length. It's on the near side of the intersection instead of on a pole across the far side, which is more typical.
That's obnoxious.
Yeah, and it's something like I didn't have to think about until it came here. And it's like, it's fucking everywhere. But, and which, whatever, like I'm sure there are perfectly good reasons for why it's that way, or it's just this happenstance. It's not some like huge moral thing or something. But I was struck by the reaction I got from a couple people who I asked about this, people who are originally from this area. And, I think I need to tell another short story before I can complete this story to fully contextualize. If that's okay. So just put that on hold for a second. So like when I was in undergrad, I had a really exciting spring break where I went home to visit my parents, and that's a joke, by the way. And that's seriously what happened. But there was a concert at the beginning of spring break. So I went with this was before I drove or even had a car. And so a friend of mine and I who lived in the same area, when I went with her, we stayed at her parents' house for a day, went to the show the next day, and then she dropped me off at my parents' house at the end of the weekend. And when we got to her parents' house, I think it was like the full day that we were there. Like, you know, it's like lunchtime. She was like, "Hey, do you want some hot dogs?" And I was like, "Sure, let's do hot dogs." She goes right into the freezer and pulls out a pack of hot dogs from the freezer. And I was like, "Wait, you keep your hot dogs in the freezer?" And she was like, "Doesn't everybody?" And I mean, no, right? Like, they're kept in the refrigerator in the store, and so you would keep them in the refrigerator, right, at home. I'm sure that's the case for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, that's, I mean, and she was just dumbfounded by this. Like, just like, I mean, what? Like, just like as normal as it was to me to have hot dogs in the fridge, it was normal for her to have hot dogs in the freezer. And then like we sort of thought about it for a moment, and she was like, "Well, okay, I think I know why. Because her mom ran a daycare out of their house for a long time and still did, and so they would buy hot dogs in bulk, and so it made more sense, you know, because, you know, convenient lunch option for the kids." So they would buy all of these hot dogs and then keep them in the freezer because they would keep longer, and it was still just as convenient because you just, you know, break a couple off and put them in the boiling water, and it takes a bit longer to cook, but, you know, they cook up just fine. Right. But that initial moment of, well, isn't that how everybody does it? Like, I think having those moments is a very important part of, I think, in a sense, growing up. And going out into the world and realizing that the way other people do things isn't the same as you, and that there's nothing necessary about a lot of the things, like about a lot of the ways you would do things growing up. You know, that even little things like where you keep the hot dogs can be a point of difference between people. And that's, you know, a fairly trivial example, but, you know, there are more bigger and more important ones you can sort of translate that up to. So I tell that oh, go ahead.
Sorry.
I don't want to like monologue too much here, but
no, while you were telling that story, I had several things happen to me which I thought were just kind of amusing.
Oh, okay.
One, I had the whole worst case of deja vu, and I'm just like, who's told me a hot dog story recently? Or a story of like this, exactly like this.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, yeah, someone has told me something like this. Oh, wait, it was Ben.
I've told you that story before, yeah.
And so right off the cusp of that, then you asked me the question about where do I keep my hot dogs? And I happened to have bought a bulk thing of hot dogs that I need to break up and freeze because I need them to last for a while.
Right.
And so it took me a moment to answer your question. So I was like, what do I
what's the correct,
too many things were happening in my brain at once. So but go on, I'm sorry.
All right, yeah, I should finish this story before I get too tangential again. But so I tell that story to say that I'm fully aware that people have these differences and that these things come up, especially when you move to a new place. And so like I am not surprised that there might be this difference in street lamp or traffic light placement, and that people around here would be just so used to it that an alternative might seem strange to them at first. But what I was not prepared for was the incredulousness with which they addressed the alternative of putting the lights on poles. So the first time this happened, I was just talking with this person who was maybe a couple years older than me, or around the same age as me maybe, and he was. And yeah, and I was like, I was just curious, like, I see around here you guys have lights that tend to be on wires across the intersections. And he was like, yeah. And I was like, well, I mean, where I'm from, they're normally on poles. And he looked at me, and there was a pause. And he said, don't they fall over? I was like, no, they tend to do all right, like even in windy conditions. But it was like that was his first thought, and like the guy, and I should be clear, I should be fair. Like the guy seemed really smart. Like this was in a university setting. Like he was a part of the university. Maybe he was a student or like part-time faculty, like something. Someone who was of a college level education, and I was just like. That doesn't make any sense. Like saying that like being almost defensive about the idea of strung up lights versus lights on poles, and it's I kind of shook it off because it was at the end of a long day, and so I kind of wasn't able to think about it too much, and that just kind of was a funny little thing that happened, and I let it go. And this was weeks ago. I didn't even bother to bring it up on the podcast because it kind of didn't register enough. And then more recently, I was talking to someone else, and I was like relating this story, like, oh, it's kind of weird. This difference that we have, this sort of weird difference in culture, ha ha ha. And the girl I was telling this to, like I was telling the story and got to the part where the guy was like looking at me, giving me kind of a funny look, and there was a pause, and like, don't they fall over? And she just kind of nodded, like yeah, they would, wouldn't they? She was just totally on this guy's line of thinking, and again, the person I was talking to in that instance was a totally intelligent, thoughtful person, like not trying to say that, oh, look at these dumb locals, like no, not at all. But it's just that initial reaction of like, yeah, that makes no sense that they would be on poles. Like,
So, this reminds me, I'm a horrible ditz, and I one day, like, someone was talking about the brakes on their car or something. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
specifically the brakes on their car, but I don't know what they were talking about because I had a ditz moment and was like, "Your car has brakes?" and she was just like, "Yes, Devin, my car has brakes." And then I realized what exactly I was saying, and I don't. So it kind of sound. Obviously, it's not the same thing. But I've had that kind of moment.
So in your mind, in that moment, were you, like, what? Do you have any idea what your brain thought stopped a car, or like, was it just the word brakes didn't sort of register in the same way?
Like there was zero thought put into what that person was saying. Like, so it didn't connect at all that it was like a natural thing. Yeah, it just didn't occur to me whatsoever. Like I had nothing going on in my head. Like I was listening to the person, but it's like my inner monologue just shut off.
Right.
And I just said it.
It's like sort of the caveman part of all of our brains just kind of bubbled up to the surface and was just very confused by everything.
It was a perfect dirt moment.
Yeah.
Like, it was perfect because, like, if I just turned my head to the sideways and stuck my tongue out, that's essentially what my brain did.
Yeah, that just clearly the lights are on, but nobody's home.
Yes.
Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah. That's. Oh, yeah. And it's kind of interesting the different circumstances that can bring out those moments in people. Like we were talking about last week, or not last week, but I guess a couple weeks ago, when I was in that research team meeting and I couldn't define a dependent variable when it was staring me in the fucking face.
Yeah.
Like it's that kind of thing of and just nothing. Nothing happening whatsoever. Oh.
Oh, did you hear about that Twin Peaks is getting
Yeah.
I don't know if they're restarting it.
No, it's a continuation.
Yeah.
They're talking about David Lynch and Mark Frost, the creators of Twin Peaks, are getting together with Showtime. I think they were going to do. I thought I saw it was like 6 episodes, and it was meant to be a continuation of the story that might, as these things always promise, to answer lingering questions, etc., etc. And I think they had also confirmed that the guy who played Dale Cooper, Agent Cooper, was definitely on board to come back as a part of it. But I don't know anything else about it. But yeah, it's kind of a convenient. That's
Yeah, I saw the thing, a clip, when I saw an official announcement on that, and basically it was just a bit of the old series,
right.
And so I was like, are they doing a new one? Are they just replaying the old episodes?
Right.
Because it was kind of confusing.
Yeah, when I saw the headline, I clicked on it because I was like, oh, that's interesting. And then I got about a couple sentences into the story and realized, I'm trying to watch this entirely new. I'm at a very high risk of accidentally spoiling something. So I just closed the story and have not looked at anything else related to it because I'm worried that I'm going to read a comment or something where someone starts speculating about things, and then I'm going to have the whole show ruined for me in the meantime.
On that note, I'm a Tumblr addict, and I follow a bunch of nerd fandom blogs, all kinds of different things. And I've never once seen anything about Twin Peaks on there.
Right.
And now, and I got horribly spoiled several times because I'm like, well, what's this?
Oh,
jeez. Look at it, and I'm
jeez.
like, oh, it's Twin Peaks. Thanks a lot, blogs. You have no reason to be posting Twin Peaks stuff. You never mentioned it once. But now that it's come back, oh my god, now I have to start filtering my fucking my feed.
That's rough.
So that in mind, I will not be using any of that information to if I have a conclusion or a theory or something.
Yeah, try to keep that out of it.
It will be completely out of it.
Okay.
So.
Well, thank you for that.
Yeah.
And I mean, I guess that's a reasonable segue. We might as well get into it. Now, I messed up, so I was really busy this week. I've got 2 presentations coming up this Monday and Tuesday, so I've been working like crazy on those. And I was helping out with an event for my program with undergrads and more research team stuff. So I forgot that we said we were going to watch 2 episodes this week to catch up. So I still have watched episode 4, but I forgot to watch episode 5. So, sorry everybody. My bad. So we'll pick up with 5 and 6 next week.
Yeah, I'm up for it.
Should we do that? Okay. I'll write that down. And I won't forget. Okay, so because thankfully I only have one more presentation left this semester, and then it's like some group stuff. So I shouldn't
nice.
have this happening again. But so going back to episode 4.
Yep, I got a thing here. Okay, so the basic plot synopsis is Cooper tries to deduce the meaning behind his strange dream the night before.
Mm-hmm.
Later on, at the funeral of Laura Palmer, emotions explode over her grave.
Yep.
Which I'll comment on here in a bit. Norma Jennings leans to her husband Hank is up for or learns that her husband Hank is up for parole.
Mm-hmm.
Sheriff Truman reveals to Cooper the existence of a secret society known as the Bookhouse Boys, and the society's mission against evil in the woods of the Twin Peaks.
Yeah.
And Laura's cousin Maddie arrives in town.
Yeah.
Now, oh, this episode was weird.
Yeah.
I have to say, like Aubrey Horn, the actress who's playing that in her like these pseudo 50s garb, is quite a lovely lady.
Yes.
I was struck by that because it opens up on her.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And it's always, I always feel really awkward about it because she's supposed to be portraying a high school girl, like a high school senior. So it's always like, and then the way she's clearly or is apparently infatuated with Agent Cooper. I still wonder about that relationship or that the interplay between them, like how much Cooper is actually being kind of a creeper, or how much he's just playing along with it, sort of knowing what she's trying to do, or think, what she appears to be trying to do, and is sort of playing into it to see what he can get out of her. I don't know.
Yeah, dude, because we see that here. Like, I was like, oh, okay, you're flirting to try to get information, because he's literally doing that now.
Yeah.
But then he goes farther than necessary for it, and I'm just like, yeah, you're still creepy.
But I mean, that's the thing, is that he's still so all over the place with his, I would say, his emotions, or the way he is sort of like he seems so detached in a lot of different ways from everything that's going on, in a way to me that suggests he has very strong control over how he portrays himself. And so I just can't, I almost, except for I guess at least a couple moments later in this episode when he's dealing with Albert, like he doesn't seem, I doubt the genuineness of the way he portrays himself. But I think there were a couple clear moments dealing with Albert where it was, he was certain that, or it felt very genuine, I guess. But I don't know. Yeah, we'll see. Maybe I'm trying desperately to not have it be that he's being all creepy on a high school girl, and so I'm coming up with justifications. But I guess we'll see.
We can feel a bit better outside of Cooper's actions, because apparently the actress was 25 when she.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I mean, sure. I'm not literally, saying.
Yeah, I know.
But yeah,
I was just curious, so I was like, how old this person was.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I'm surprised that they're introducing another character. Yet another character. I mean, we have the brother of the innkeeper, but now Madeline.
Yeah, but at the same time, I mean, there's still a fair bit to go through. I mean, how many? Well,
there's 8 episodes in season 1.
Oh, right. I was like, okay, so yeah, it's like almost.
And 22 in season 2.
Yeah. But yeah, the 8 episodes of season 1 are kind of considered to be the thing that is Twin Peaks that everybody loves. So, yeah,
and that's true. It's weird that we're on number 4 and yet we're still introducing more people that aren't throwaway characters.
As far as we know, yeah.
Yeah, 1 second. Okay, yeah, I need to be careful because I almost.
Damn it! Okay, now.
No, there was no spoilers. But there was almost a spoiler.
All right. I can accept that. Yeah, she's probably a major character, but it's it's very thin ice you have to tread on when you're doing something like this. I know.
I have not gone any farther than what we had agreed to. So just so that you know, so it's not like okay.
I accept that, but you did essentially let slip that this character is important and not just someone who appears briefly,
or at least for 2 episodes. That's the worst I could have done there.
Whatever. Okay, let's stop. The more we pick at this, the more we're gonna accidentally, the further we'll accidentally go. So let's see. Other big stuff.
Oh, yeah. I really enjoyed that Cooper memorized the trucker's criminal record.
Yeah.
After the interactions with them.
Oh. Yeah, I still love the way that he handles those situations in general. Like he goes in very well prepared and sort of plays the Columbo, like unassuming, gonna let people dig their own graves kind of situation.
Yeah, I'm starting to not like Cooper. But that's something I'm liking about the show as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
There aren't any likable characters.
Yeah,
it doesn't need to be.
Yeah, there are very clear flaws that everyone has.
Well, it's not even that. See, that's the thing. It's not even that. I mean, flaws aren't necessarily a bad thing. Because,
sure, yeah.
The anti-hero is interesting, and the anti-hero, by definition, needs to have flaws.
Mm-hmm.
And things like Infinite Jest and stuff like that, there's no likable characters in Infinite Jest. But there are characters we can care about, which is, the critical thing.
Right.
But when Cooper refused to sign the incident reports for when the
when the doctor, the local doctor punched Albert square across the jaw.
It was actually
it was the sheriff. That's right.
Yep.
Yeah.
I was unhappy about that. I was
just
like, you are a prick. Like,
wait, Cooper was the prick for not.
Yeah, absolutely.
Albert was the biggest prick of them all.
Oh yeah,
he absolutely fucking deserved it.
I'm not even arguing that. Like, if I went around and punched people who deserved it, I'd be punching people at least every other day.
Right.
However, that would be wrong. And this guy is a sheriff. This guy has zero ability to step out, to fail like that, especially when he's in the role of being a sheriff.
Right. So you think his role as peacekeeper means that he should be above simple violence?
Yes, and if nothing else, when he's on the clock, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, he's afforded really amazing amounts of power, and compared to the average citizen. And
yeah, but he also unequivocally punched a massive penis.
Yeah. Oh yeah. The guy's a right prick. We couldn't agree more. And the guy deserved to be punched.
Just not by the sheriff?
Just not by the sheriff.
Huh.
But even if that's not true, even if I'm wrong, the fact that Cooper didn't treat the person, the not Undertaker, Coroner,
Albert, yeah,
with the basic human respect to, say, the sheriff paid his price as an adult. You know what I mean? Like, the sheriff knew ahead of time what would happen if he lost his temper.
Uh-huh.
And the rights afforded to the guy, to the prick, were violated. I mean, he was treated as something lesser than the sheriff.
But he was also verbally and directly treating everyone else there as being lesser than himself.
Right, but I mean, like,
and obviously his motives were good. Like, he wants to find who killed Laura and all of that, but he also, from the moment he walked into that town and the moment he spoke to anybody that wasn't Cooper, was demeaning and rude and clearly thought that he was far better than any of those people, which is just as bad as being punched in the face, if not worse, because bruises heal and the sort of deeper psychological inferiority sort of complexes are,
Here's I'm going to disagree on two things. One,
Okay.
the things that we are put into place, the very purpose of these positions is so that we don't just go around hitting each other.
Right.
Like, people treat politics, for example, as a four-letter word, but it's the greatest thing that exists in humanity because it keeps us talking and not punching assholes. So
Sure, yeah.
And from a saint, and in my personal belief, as much as I hate some of the things that people do, from the saint to the rapist, all people are equal as one human person. And that's what I'm trying to say is when the Cooper in a position of power said, "You are not worth the same rights as everybody else because you were an asshole, and so I'm not going to do my job." That's.
I mean, I think I'm not, and I think the distinction is a bit more nuanced than that, though, because it's not that, like, I wouldn't say that like, for example, say someone mugs an old lady, right? I wouldn't say that person deserves to, like, then be mugged themselves or something like that. But I don't think Cooper's saying that you don't deserve, that Albert doesn't deserve justice for what happened to him. I think it's that Albert got precisely what he deserved given his actions.
But because
and that there's no recourse for what Albert did to any of the other people in that town.
Because these people are somehow better because of what Cooper values, the small town values of this weird little place.
But it's not
superior to the places. And he says that explicitly. He says that people here care more about life than they do in some unknown big place. And so, therefore, I will do whatever I need to kind of protect that. You know what I mean?
But it's not. But Albert's presence, it's not that Albert was just from a big city and they, like, persecuted him for being from the big city or something.
Right.
It's that he went around insulting everyone consistently and constantly.
Yeah.
That's the context in which he got punched in the fucking mouth. And, if, like, I would absolutely agree with you if he was just from the big city and then got sucker punched. Fucking technology. God damn it.
Yeah,
so
and technology and user error on my part. So that's going to be.
No. That's I don't blame you. I blame the internet. But so I was getting emotional, and I could feel my metaphorical dander rising as I was making this argument. So I was saying that I think fundamentally what I was ultimately arguing was that because I judged the punch as a reasonable punishment for Albert's actions, I had no problem with Cooper not signing the statement of the incident. But I realize that I have not done a good job of defining. Essentially, I've allowed for gray areas in law, which, as I think you were pointing out, is a slippery slope to essentially anarchy. And maybe, I mean, not to say that you were going that far, but I think I've left myself a hole in my reasoning where a big old freight truck full of abusive power could drive through. I don't know. But you had something you wanted to say in relation to what I was saying.
I was just agreeing with your comment that, like, it was literally using the actual proper definition of literally. It was literally, you know, if it could make grammatical sense. The only way he couldn't fit more insults in there is if he just descended into just repeating insults, like,
yeah, like
and foregoing the like rules of language completely. So I was just remarking on that. So
okay.
That was pretty much it.
Okay. Because yeah, I mean, like, yeah, you are right, absolutely, in that it isn't good for us to allow justice, quote unquote, to devolve into people getting punched even if they deserve it, quote unquote, because that's no way to build a legal system. But damn if it didn't feel good.
And don't get me wrong. I totally understand. I get comments like on the street because I'm an obese individual, and I'll get comments like jeers and stuff like that from people just randomly in cars, and so and you know, other people. Typically they're drunk if they're on foot, but I'll get jeers and stuff like that. So I understand wanting to, and maybe those people people who deserve it. I want to say those people would deserve it, but like, I totally understand where you're coming from. I like assholes probably less than the average individual.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay.
But it was a good conversation though.
Yeah, something like that. So, yeah, and that's more me feeling bad about. I felt like I was getting a bit too hot under the collar about it, but anyway. Okay, yeah. So there was one thing I wanted to ask you. Yeah. So then, how do you view the existence of this secret society that exists sort of outside the law that they reveal? Yeah. Actually,
everything
at first.
Sorry.
Oh, sorry, I just want to say this quick. At first, when there was the scene in the diner that led them to talk, like, I thought this was going to be some kind of elaborate prank. At first, I was like, "This is like, they're not fucking serious, right?" But everybody played into it, so yeah, I don't know.
Everything from the coffin yo-yo scene past, I just was giggling, and I felt bad at that coffin yo-yo scene. Like, for giggling, because it's, you know, but it went up and down. It was ridiculous. Yeah, the entire end of the episode was just hilariously weird.
Yeah, it was very, very. It was strange. I mean, not as strange as, you know, the dream, but. Yeah, and you know, Laura's dad continues to fall apart.
Hence why he's on the coffin in the first place.
Yeah.
The asshole kid, actually, like, I disagree with him.
Oh, Bobby?
But he actually said something intelligent for once.
Yeah.
I was amazed.
Yeah, I hate his guts, but damn it, he was actually right. Yeah.
I actually don't think he was right, but I think, you know, he at least said
Or-
something intelligent.
Right, yeah. He was making a reasonable point. Yeah.
Yeah. And then he flipped out.
Yeah. And it just that scene was very awkward. Yeah, and then Laura's dad losing his shit on the coffin, breaking the also like as sympathetic as I am towards the Shelley and
Shelley,
her
which one?
terrible the wife of Leo, the terrible asshole wife beater.
Yeah.
As bad as I feel for her and the plight that she's in, it really got under my skin to see her like making fun of that moment back in the diner with the two old men laughing, yucking up about it as she described what happened.
Yeah.
That was kind of unfortunate. But I mean, I guess I don't know. It's everybody has their flaws, right?
The actors they had for those old men laughed creepily intensely, though.
It's maybe a little much.
I was so creeped up by those guys.
Yeah.
It was amazing, like just how creepy that situation was. Yeah, the only thing I got left for that episode is like in the 38th minute, like the mill owner
Yeah.
and was talking with the
Sheriff Harry.
sheriff, yeah. But they were talking like 10 feet from the house speaker.
Well, I mean, there's, and I presume by that the way you made that statement, you were suggesting that how dumb it was for them to do that.
Yeah, correct.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one thing to know that there's something there. It's another thing to think it's on and being listened to. But yeah, so we learn a bit more about, or we see a bit more of the developing relationship between Harry and Jocelyn, and then also Catherine, the sister of the
sister,
the original mill owner, plotting her whatever to take the sawmill from Jocelyn and sell the land to Horn, the hotel owner, and all that nonsense. I don't know. Yeah, just everybody's fucking and fucking with everybody else, and that's kind of yeah.
I have to say that storyline's probably my least interesting. It's the least interesting up until this point.
Yeah, I guess we'll see where that develops. I think I agree that in so much as I feel that I would be totally fine if that storyline just didn't exist. Yeah, like I would enjoy it just as well. But yeah, now I mean, I guess we've crossed the halfway point, and the back half of this season of this story, to the extent that it wraps up, is nigh, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Yeah.
And we hit about an hour.
Yeah, I guess. Well, I I don't know. I guess I don't know what else to say about it. Like it's interesting, and I'm be curious to see what's next. But
I have a lot more to say for next week.
Yeah. Okay.
So
I will again. I have written it down, so this is gonna happen one way or the other. But okay, I guess we're probably a little bit shorter this week than usual, but I don't know. I think still got some good stuff in there.
Yeah, next week will be longer.
Yeah, we'll have a lot more Twin Peaks to discuss, and then
this will free me up. Oh, I keep interrupting you. I am terrible.
It's okay. Well, here's the thing, right? We're talking over Skype. We don't have video because apparently my internet, for some reason, struggles to fucking keep up with just audio sometimes. And that's the thing. Otherwise, it's great, but every so often it just I don't know what it is. I'm forced to be on wireless because that's the only fast connection that I have access to, which is weird, but just the way the infrastructure is here, just in the buildings that I'm in. So maybe that's just that. I don't know, but yeah, more Twin Peaks next week, and yeah, let's get to it. I don't know.
I mean, there's more stuff to BS, but like we could talk about alien insurrection and stuff like that, but we might as well leave it until next week.
Yeah. Oh God, I feel so bad because, well, maybe not bad, but like last week, talked all that about Shadow of Mordor, and I have played literally 0 of it since then because of how busy I've been. I'm hoping maybe this week I could dive back into it. I've actually been playing some games on my phone now because that's convenient. I would recommend. I guess I'll say this quick. I would recommend desert golfing to anyone who it has $2 to spend on an iPhone game. I think it's probably also on Android, but I have an iPhone, so that's where I know it is. It's just this super basic golf game. Like the levels are, I guess, randomly generated from a seed, so there's not like a maximum number, but like everybody's getting the same levels, and it's just hole after hole, just 2D. Like you press on the screen and then drag back to set your power and angle, and then the ball just flies. All of the terrain is just sand, so it's all a bit sticky and slows your ball down, and just weird angles and stuff. It's just a fun game to knock out minutes on. I'm now on hole 467. And
467?
Yeah. And apparently there's at least over 1,000. And I have taken 1,532 shots so far. There's no par or anything. It's just every time at the it counts up your shots on every hole and then adds that to the running total at the end of each hole. And it just continues to scroll to the right. Like you keep going. When the ball lands in the hole, the screen scrolls to the right a bit. The next hole appears, and then the ball's like lifted up out of the hole, and it sort of just creates a platform level with the ground, and then you shoot from there. It's annoying because there are times where the end of one hole is under an overhang, and so you can't actually go straight up. You have to like very carefully back up with one stroke, and then to get over it. And if you go off the screen, to either side, the ball resets back to the start of the hole, which can be kind of frustrating sometimes. But it's a fun little way to just pass the time when you need just a quick something to play. I've actually also found it a bit useful if I getting up in the morning. Like I'll have my phone, and then like an alarm goes off, and instead of just getting up and turning off the alarm, I actually grab my phone and like try to play a couple holes of that to like get my mind working. It's helped me on a couple days where I've had to get up earlier than I would usually. So I don't know.
For me, for me, whenever I put my phone like across the room, that's the best way for me to get out and make sure I'm out of bed.
Yeah, same sort of thing.
Right on. So I totally understand.
Yeah. But yeah, other than that, I don't know. I guess that's it.
Yeah.
I've got I really enjoy just the name of the music that I've got for this week for the outro. First though, big thanks because I need to stop forgetting, to Chris Gugliotti for the artwork that makes our channel look all fancy and everything.
Yeah, dude.
And then music here to take us out, a little ambient piano, beautiful little tune. The temperature of the air on the bow of the Kalitan by by Chris Zabriskie from the album oh hell, where's the name of the album? Oh yeah, Undercover Vampire Policeman.
Yeah, it sounds like India.
Yeah. It's beautiful, beautiful stuff. But that's it for this week, I guess. This has been the World's Worst Podcast. Thank you so much for listening.
Bye.